Hello everyone, my name is Daniel Hwang. My presentation is called The Frontier of the Metaverse, Opportunities for Crypto Native Operators. I'm a protocol specialist at stakefish and we're talking about castles in the sand. So I'll briefly go over a little bit about myself, my role at stakefish, and then what I do at HanDAO. I'll go into some concepts of the metaverse, why crypto is important, and how it adds value to NFTs. And I'll go into a little bit about why Stakefish has been interested in building our virtual HQ on Sandbox and how this is important to a very vital part of our services, which is delegator communication, which we need to do more of. So yeah, I'm Daniel. Quick background about myself. I was a minor back in 2013. Used to work at a law firm. Left, started remittance services in the Philippines, worked on decentralized exchanges, had some experience doing permission blockchain solutions for pharmaceutical supply chains, led a working group, the IEEE working group on health data availability on blockchain, did DeFi education, some smart contract development with NFTs, DAOs, and now kind of working with HanDAO, the first DAO in Korea, and also helping out with a lot of the metaverse stuff. So as a protocol specialist, I handle protocol research and governance at Stakefish, and this includes ecosystem relationship management, protocol-specific research, delegator communications, and protocol-related governance, voting, and analysis, and then also special projects. And so my involvement with HanDAO I had been looking for ways to support creators, and there was a lot of Korean artists and creatives that I ended up supporting in the NFT space. Been helping them deploy and mint ERC-721s and 1155s. I really wanted to stress the importance of the self-sovereignty aspect of what cryptocurrency can do for a lot of these new creators that are coming in, and so tried to help people establish and deploy their own smart contracts and mint from them without having to rely on centralized platforms. And so this eventually ended up formalizing into what HanDAO is today, supporting the Korean creator ecosystem. Okay, so what is the metaverse? And I'm sure you're familiar with kind of like this movie Ready Player One. But I think what we're all kind of aware of today is there's probably four primary metaverse platforms on Ethereum, right? Sandbox, CryptoVoxels, Decentraland, and Somnium Space that is like a pure open world for people to kind of collectively gather, build custom NFTs, custom buildings, and do whatever they want. Interaction, gaming, collaboration, exploration. Obviously, Axie Infinity is like a very fit for purpose one, but I mentioned like the open worlds here. And so why I think metaverses and the crypto ideology is important here is that it's important that people are the ones that are building these metaverses up, and they have full control and autonomy here. Pseudo-anonymity should also be a default, and then the aspects of decentralization and censorship resistance are the rights basically of the people in these crypto metaverses. And these are values that are important to me as a protocol specialist, as working at a validator that is trying to maintain decentralization in these blockchain infrastructure networks. And we always want to continue to push initiatives that will stress decentralization. And right, this is obviously in contrast to what we see with some centralized platforms like Facebook Horizon. So Zuck. So I had written some stuff on NFT value in the context of interoperable utility on different metaverse applications, and I think that's pretty applicable to how we can kind of view metaverses in terms of what they can provide NFTs themselves natively, and then also what they can provide users using them and why they would use them, right? And so the context here is basically that the interoperable utility is basically providing value. NFT value can be derived from its utility through interoperability among these different metaverses. And so you had seen like those 4 different types of metaverses. Having an NFT be able to span all 4 of those would provide utility to it, and then eventually value because it is more useful. And then the second important concept is the point of kind of the pseudo-anonymity that these metaverses will provide you. Right? I think a lot of us are familiar with crypto Twitter. There's a lot of LARPing, people hiding behind, or just like using different accounts to express more opinions more freely behind like cartoon avatars or profile pictures that are CryptoPunks. And then finally, to tie that together to how like you would want to have pseudo anonymity with your operation in a metaverse, right? You can think of, let's say in Ethereum, an address is basically your avatar. And so what does this mean? And so let's say, for example, you are on Sandbox, and you can think of Sandbox is this blockchain-based metaverse. Let's say there are multiple games or applications in Sandbox. And let's say there is sort of like an NFT, let's say a CryptoPunk NFT that can be used in multiple different metaverses interoperably. So for example, there can be a racing game, and that singular CryptoPunk that you have can manifest itself as like a hanging decal on your car and gives you 10 plus horsepower. That same CryptoPunk maybe can be used in the maze game, where it manifests itself as like a companion that alerts you whenever you're close to an exit or treasure. And then again, that same CryptoPunk can maybe manifest itself as a necklace in a battle arena that gives your character like 10 plus HP. And so you have like this native integration with an NFT that can be used in many different areas, and then that in itself imbues value because it is inherently useful, right? Anywhere you go, it should follow for that. And so that's like the value that you can get from this interoperability within these metaverses. And then that can kind of be tied into who a person holds, who a person is, and how and what items and NFTs that they can hold. And so, for example, this is a wonderful drawing by one of my coworkers that kind of describes how a lot of people use Ethereum addresses, right? And Ethereum, you can say, is a platform. An Ethereum address you can think of as your avatar. You can think of like the tokens that you have in that Ethereum address and the NFTs that you have on that Ethereum address as your gear. And you can imagine that the contracts, the DAOs, the dApps, the games that you interact with can be like different realms. So some applications might see an Ethereum address that is interacting with it only as a yield farmer. An application, let's say like Axie Infinity, will see an Ethereum address only as an NFT monster battler. Like Super Rare might only see an Ethereum address as an art creator, right? And you have hedge fund managers like like in DeFi with like lending and borrowing and liquidity provisioning. Politicians, right, where we have governance tokens where you vote on protocol changes, and you have traders. And essentially, like each Ethereum address, you kind of carry around your story publicly, again, because we're on these public blockchains. And you can see the full history, the path that has taken, where your Ethereum address wears, all of that to see for people. And so you have that kind of natively as like a fundamental building block of how metaverses are interacted with people and these addresses. And so that kind of leads us to like what these metaverse HQs look like. So obviously stakefish is building on Sandbox, but right, you've seen a lot of different HQs in Decentraland, crypto voxels, storefronts, NFT projects that have built their little stores and buildings there, and then even companies that are building there. And why are they building there? And so, right, stakefish is obviously one of them. Like we have been fortunate enough to be working with one of the top tier metaverse builders, Polygonal Mind, which we're super lucky to have. And so, right, they have provided basically so many opportunities in these metaverses as an entity that does interact directly with Ethereum addresses or whatever addresses that we are on these networks to engage with. And just to stress, right, the concept in these metaverses, whether or not it's a specific game or even Ethereum as a metaverse, these addresses are pseudo and anonymous. And so as stakefish, in the guise of this this pseudo anonymity, right? We do not know who our delegators are. People delegate to us when they stake Ethereum with us, when they stake atoms on Cosmos, Sol on Solana, Dot on Polkadot. We do not know them, and that is an important key to note. However, that does come with its difficulties when we want to be able to communicate appropriate information. When we voted on certain things, how do we notify only the Cosmos people that how we voted, or how do we only notify the Polkadot people how we voted? And so that is an important concept of, right, if there are these platforms that natively and by inherently a lot of people are aggregating on, that is an opportunity for us as an institution and as an entity to be able to communicate with them in the spaces that they are already on. And so this means these metaverses basically represent these new frontiers of exposure and promotion, right? And we've seen that plenty of times in the traditional Web 2 world, right? You have Instagram, where there's a lot of social media following, people use it, they love it, and then you see brands kind of moving on and being able to communicate and engage with their followers and fans. And that's no different from people who need to validate and also accept delegations. And then there's reputation management. Obviously, Stakefish is probably one of the sole validators that does seek to have like very friendliness to its delegators. We got memes, great videos. Our marketing and design team is, I think, bar none. And we can continue to like court these delegators in their natural environments, be able to communicate with them, and then also be able to do cross ecosystem relationship building for different projects, tools, and services that we can provide in native integrations. And that, I think, is extremely powerful. And that's kind of like the new paradigm of how as these metaverses continue to build up and people continue to use them, crypto native companies must be able to engage with them in those natural habitats. And basically, right, fully online on-chain presence is an absolute must for crypto native operators, like Stakefish. So yeah, that is basically it. It's a short presentation. I think that there's so many opportunities here that we can all explore. And we're at Stakefish so excited to be innovating, constantly being able to engage with our delegators, and be able to kind of set an example of from any of the blockchain infrastructure service providers that exist in the crypto ecosystem, what can be done, and kind of pave that way there. So you can contact me at Twitter if you have any questions, or email me here. Thank you.